honor and joy to introduce Pujya Swamiji to you this evening. Pujya Swamiji is one of India's most revered spiritual leaders. At the age of 8, he left his home, went with his spiritual master to the Himalayan forests and jungles, where he lived the next 9 years of his life in silence, in solitude, in meditation, and in sadhana, which is spiritual practice. His guru would be with him for a period of time and then leave him in the forests and come back for him a year later or so. Say, how are you doing? Tell him to stay in silence the entire time, or give him a particular form of meditation. For example, there were several years in which he stood on one foot in tree pose, for those of you who do yoga, for 11 hours a day. And he spent years in silence, fasting. That was how his youth was spent. At 17, he came out of the jungles, down from the mountains, and came to Rishikesh, which is one of India's most holy cities, right at the base of the Himalayas, on the banks of the Ganges River. He is the spiritual head and the president of one of the largest spiritual institutions in all of India, the largest in Rishikesh, which is named Parmarth Niketan. The name Parmarth Niketan literally means an abode dedicated to the welfare of all. And that, in a few words, really sums up his life and his message and his mission, which is to serve all of humanity in whatever way he is possible. And that service takes all forms, ranging from spiritual guidance, blessing, teachings, to those who have everything set externally and yet inside are confused, empty, depressed, to the other side of people who don't know where their next meal is coming from, children who are orphaned, people who are sick and can't afford medical care, women who need to earn a living but have no skills, villages with no running water, no electricity, no toilets. The work that he does runs the whole spectrum, from orphanages to women's vocational training programs, to rural development, to free schools, to disaster relief, tsunami relief, really anything that you can think of, anywhere where there is a need, where there are people whose heart he feels is calling for him. He is the leader who is frequently called to these summits and parliaments and conferences at places like the United Nations, or the Parliament for World Religions, or the World Conference for Religious Leaders, from where he just came in Kyoto, Japan. He's been at the United Nations several times, representing India, representing Hinduism, because although his particular background and his particular teaching came in the line of the Indian Hindu tradition, if you ask him what his religion is, he'll say it's love, or it's humanity, or it's service. And that's really what the message is that he brings to people, is to go to God, but by any name, any form, it doesn't matter. But dedicate your lives to a spiritual path, to being one with God. And with that, it's a great blessing to humbly request to Pujya Swamiji to please begin.